But again, welcome to our August gathering for our clergy, our Lincoln Heights Clergy Collaborative. Our hope and our goal with this collaborative is to begin to build some continuity and some unity around the pastors of churches in the village of Lincoln Heights. For a while, growing up in Lincoln Heights, I'm a native Lincoln Heightsian, I guess if you want to call it. Grew up in the Valley Homes when it was there. And I can remember when I was growing up, just this contingency and the strength that the church, Big C, had in our community. And so whenever things were happening, you always saw a presence within the church. Over the years, we know things happen. But one of the things that I noticed right away was that, man, there's a strength when the church is unified within a community. Not saying that the church has to do everything, but the support and just his presence can make a big deal. So our hope was to create this collaborative, to re-engage what was the Voices of the Valley and provide spaces for clergy to get to know one another, but then also to hear about all of the work that they're doing within their churches and how can the local church support itself within the community and support organizations that are doing great work so that our community would be whole. And so that's our whole premise and why we come together. The purpose of this evening is for us to really learn more about what is happening in our community by listening to and hearing from organizers, from parachurch ministry organizations, the village itself, to hear about what's taking place in our community and how the local church can support those efforts. And then at the end of our time, I wanted specifically for the pastors an opportunity to hear about some awesome resources that an organization called World Impact has for local pastors here to help us be trained and equipped to be able to do the work that we're called to do in our community. So I want to pray. After I pray, I would love for everyone to introduce themselves, and then we'll just follow through our agenda as it is. And as people kind of come in and file in, then we will share from there. But let's go before the Lord and pray. Father, we thank you for this evening. I'm thankful for all of these individuals who have sacrificed their time to be on this call this evening. They could have been doing anything else, but Lord, their hearts are here in support of what is happening in the village of Lincoln Heights. Lord, I pray that over this time that we have together, Lord, that we would be able to hear some very encouraging things that are taking place within our community. But at the same time, Lord, I pray that as clergy, we would see awesome opportunities to stand in and to support the awesome work that's taking place. Father, we are thankful for these moments. We're thankful for partnerships like with World Impact and with the Village and with St. Monica's Recreation Center and so many other wonderful organizations and churches here. Lord, you're obviously up to something. And so, Lord, I pray that you would guide our conversation, that we would leave this place encouraged about the work that you're doing. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen and amen. By way of introduction, I'm Brandon Woodard. I serve as the lead pastor of Reconcile Community Church here in Lincoln Heights. I also am a daycare provider as well, Tara's Tiny Tots Childcare that's in Lincoln Heights as well. And so if we would be so kind, Ms. Joyce, if you would love to introduce yourself, that would be great.
I'm Joyce Paldrell, Village Manager of Lincoln Heights. Brandon, thank you so much. That was a beautiful prayer. And I should also mention that I ran into Chuck Mingo, who used to be my pastor at Crossroads, and he did mention you. And we're trying to see, I got a call out there could be some restoration done in the village, and how do we do that? So that's maybe a good topic that we can talk about at some other time. Okay. And I've been in the village since November of last year. I am absolutely pumped about doing the work in the village. It is going to be a challenge, but I love engaging on this level because that tells me that the people in the community are getting it, that it's going to take all of us. And so I so appreciate you reaching out and helping us along this journey and being a part of this journey. I think it's going to be an amazing story that we will be able to talk about in a few years. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Jordan, if you'll be so kind.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. Thanks for the invitation to come out, Brandon. My name is Jordan King. I live on the near west side of Indianapolis. I'm a ministry developer with World Impact. That means I coordinate with pastors and leaders across my region, up into Michigan and down to Kentucky and the Ohio area, and here in my own city. And I just love coming alongside and serving the leaders I work with and helping equip churches to reach their cities with the gospel.
Perfect. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. Miss Lisa, if you would be so kind.
Sure. I'm Lisa Entz, and I'm with World Impact. I'm located in Wichita, Kansas. We have been missionaries with World Impact for about 35 years, my husband and I work alongside with Jordan to promote our trauma healing program that we have in conjunction with the American Bible Society. So yeah, just glad to be here and hear about all you're doing. It's just exciting. This is great.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us. The Right Reverend Pastor Mike Pearl, if you would be so kind, sir. He muted.
Good evening. Thank you, Pastor Brandon. Always appreciate all your efforts and support. One thing I love about Brandon, he's not territorial. He wants to share in the work of the Lord's ministry wherever it is. Doesn't matter if Reconcile, doesn't matter if it's Tiny Tots, doesn't matter if it's Brandon, Pastor Brandon. So I appreciate you, brother. My name is Mike Pearl, the center director here at the St. Monica's Recreation Center. Been serving here for about 10 years at this capacity. And we are a rec center that we're more of a community center that just provides a place for our kids 6 to 16 to go. We do have 17, 18-year-olds that frequent, but usually around that age, they begin to kind of tap out coming regularly. And we provide a number of opportunities, programs for them to hopefully help them make better decisions, grow to be productive citizens, do well in school, and the whole gamut. And addition to being the center director at St. Monica's, I also serve as the pastor of New Day Baptist Church. We started the church as a church plant 8 years ago. We started in Hamilton, Ohio, and then have transitioned to here in Lincoln Heights, where we've been serving on that capacity in the ministry level for about 4 years. And we're just a biblical, passionate, relevant ministry who loves people and loves the Lord. So thank you, Pastor Brandon. Nice to meet you all.
Appreciate it. And last but not least, my brothers, Durance, and I saw Cord there too. They're here with the Heights movement. Would love for you guys to introduce yourselves to the group this evening. You might have to unmute yourself.
You got to forgive us. We're actually at the Great American Ballpark. We had a blessed event, and part of the Obama Foundation. My brother's keeping take some young folks down here. But Durance Daniels and Boyd Tillmeyer, and we're the co-founders of the Heights movement. And yeah, we're just in response to just trying to find ways to really engage our residents and get them once again fired up about the things that are taking place in Lincoln Heights and how we can empower and expect those residents. But once again, man, we're just blessed and the honor, and then Carlton as well. Yeah. So. Yeah, we're just honored and blessed to be a part of this, and anything that Brandon and ask. And then I just got to give one more nugget to Pastor Pearl. He does so much more than what he just mentioned on that end as well. But this is just a beautiful team to be a part of, and we thank you, Pastor Woodard, and all that you're doing.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. And so this is what I want to do for our community partners. The first part of this time together, I already sent out, kind of what we were looking for, really trying to, in a lot of ways, gather information about, what is the work that is already happening, but how can the church support those efforts? And so Miss Joyce, I know that I had you up slated first, and I know that you have your presentation. I would love for you to share as much as you can to just give us just a real, a high level view of what's going on and how we can support. And so the floor is yours. Do you need to share your screen?
No, I didn't bring them. It's long, but I think I can give you what you need in words. And Lisa and Jordan, I'm sure if you know Brandon, I know you know the history of Lincoln Heights. So, and if you don't, just email me and let me know, and I can bring you up to speed. But there are many challenges in the village, many challenges that have not been addressed over the years. when I came on board, I took the opportunity to kind of just really talk to people and hear what they felt like was the challenges and important to the village in terms of its success. So Brandon talked about roads. I'd love to take credit for the roads, but that was already happening before I got here, got into the village. But everybody's happy to see that move forward. But after an analysis and a review and kind of sitting and thinking about what is this going to take, I took a commitment. I made a commitment and said I would be here for 5 years because as I believe that this work, we didn't get to where we were or where we are overnight. It's going to take for us some time to move through it. So my 6 pillars for the success for the village is economic development, village operations, village infrastructure, safety in the village, stakeholder relationships. How do I build relationships inside and outside of the village? I love that we're here today. That measures one of the pillars of stakeholder relationships. And then finally, how do we get people to view the village differently? And just kind of in a branding. And so some of the things that I've been working on in the past 8 months under some task will rise up and some I just can't get to. And there's so much, I can only get to what I can get to. And so in the area of economic development, I believe the crown jewel of the village is Memorial Field. So I've been working with my cohort in Silverton to help revitalize Memorial Field. So far, we've able to get support of almost $500,000 through the county, Hamilton County, to renovate Memorial Field. We've reached out to the Cincinnati Reds Fund to see if we can be a recipient of the 2022 Reds Community Fund. We received $150,000 to bring broadband to the village. Mariana Terrace just kicked off their initial Wi-Fi initiative through CMHA today, working with Cincinnati Bell. Our goal from a village is to provide ultimately access at low cost or no cost throughout the village. But we are working from a phase perspective, and phase 1 will be to try to bring as much access to the upper subs of the village. And so we have an RFP out that is due back to us this Thursday. And we have a firm that's helping us evaluate what's the best value and best solution for the residents of Lincoln Heights. Because what we do know is the residents of Lincoln Heights can't afford another utility when you have 75% of the residents of Lincoln Heights make less than $50,000. 34% of the population is under the age of 18. And the remainder, 20-some% is 65 and older. So we're working with the most vulnerable part of our community, residents in our community who can't afford. So you've only got that small 50% of the community that's probably carrying the burden of the whole community. So that's one initiative, as well as trying to work with the county to accelerate, I would say, and even more so what we're doing now, the roads in the village. How do we make it safe? How do I even use broadband as a tool to make the village safe? So we are the recipient of a grant with the Hamilton County Sheriffs, which is bringing in 10 more sheriffs into the village. We are excited about that relationship. It's working out great. The purpose of that is to do more community-oriented policing. As I told the lieutenant, we don't want you to come in and occupy us. We want you to protect us. And we are having a really good relationship. The village invested in bikes so we can have bikes on patrol. So they've been out there on their bikes. I think that's exciting because now you can have a conversation. I see them playing basketball with the kids. They led National Night Out. They brought in the Globetrotter Legends for the kids at St. Monica's. So I'm really excited about that relationship. And I think this relationship can just be as powerful in this journey of how we move the village forward. Stakeholder relationships, we're building the relationship with GE, First Financial, and other major corporations. We've had conversations with GE and First Financial to see if they could sponsor our broadband. There's a service fee that would be associated with that. So we're waiting to hear back from that. We're asking GE and First Financial, if the Reds decide to be a part of revitalizing Memorial Field, would you sign on as well? And they said yes. There's a verbal yes that if Lincoln Heights is selected, we'll be a part of that. We believe the renovation of Memorial Field will yield us to revitalization of that area. And so that's why I'm all in on that and trying to bring the support for that effort. Village operations. One of the challenges that we saw, that people who thought the look and the feel of the village was not that appealing. One of the things I did is to change it from the service department to the public works department. We just had our director of public works to start today. I think I am choosing the right people for positions who have the heart of the village. They don't take this personal. I want them every day to wake up and think about, how do we serve the village? There are going to be trying days that we will have, but at the end of the day, when we think about, are we doing the best for the people of the village? And I think I'm finding the people with the heart for that. At least I'm letting the Holy Spirit try to lead me to that. And I think I've been doing pretty good so far. So that is important, I believe, to answer the question for the Cincinnati Reds about sustainability, because we want to show them that if you invest this amount of money into the village, that we have the talent, you can teach us the tools and the techniques to sustain it. But I want to make sure that we have the maturity of the people and that we are creating a business model that sustains Memorial Field. Branding and talking about the village in a different kind of way. We're in the early stages of that, but we have hired a consultant. His name is Joe Shields. He's done a lot of work for communities similar to ours and going into a transformation. And he's also a politician in his community. So I think that is quite helpful, but he's amazing. And I think he's going to help us start to change the narrative of the residents of the village, as well as the leaders of the village, because we are accountable for what we say about the village as well. So hopefully some of come and join us. We're excited about what's happening in the village. That starts to take hold, and we'll get more people like yourselves to come and join us and do that. We've had people come in. I can't think of the church that's in Northern Kentucky. I can't its name, but they came in and helped us with a community cleanup. We thought that was quite exciting. People appreciate it. So I'm just feeling this energy in a village based upon what our pillars of success are. I'm excited to get up and do that work every day. It keeps me focused on what needs to be done. I just want to acknowledge that Brandon's mom got an award at the Mayor's Prayer Breakfast, and the theme was faith is our strength. And I said a few remarks, and I used faith as an acronym. And these are the things that I'm telling my staff, that F is for focus. A is for attitude. We got to wake up with a good attitude. I is for the integrity. T is for trust. We have to trust each other. And one thing that I know that the village of Lincoln Heights has, because it wouldn't have sustained itself this long, is hope. And we have to nurture that hope, because at the end of the day, if we put that all together, we will see success in the village. So if you have questions, I'm here to answer any questions. I love collaboration and partners that we can trust and commit to the success of Lincoln Heights, because I just think this time and this moment for the village is the perfect time. It's like the stars are aligned for the village. And if we don't get it right now, I don't know where the time frame of the opportunity is going to happen for us again.
Gotcha. Thank you so much for sharing, Ms. Joyce. Is there anything specifically? I know I heard like the churches came in to do cleanups. Are there any things that you have on the horizon where clergy and churches can support efforts that are going on, whether it be stakeholder information, anything like that? Anything specific that you want to share with clergy?
I want you to continue to pray for the village. If you live in the village, to come out to council and let your voice be heard in terms of an opportunity coming up soon. We don't need an opportunity to come up soon. We can make an opportunity to get together. So I'm open and willing to sit down if you have an idea and say, hey, I think this is a good idea. Let's talk about it and move forward.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. This was extremely helpful just to hear all of the things, especially the pillars. And I've seen the sheriffs on their bikes. So we're definitely thankful for what you're doing. And as we get to share more about what is taking place in the village, I think this will be an awesome medium for us to make sure that we constantly keep clergy up to date about things that are happening in the community, so we can accurately inform our parishioners of what is taking place. And so, Ms. Joyce, thank you so much for jumping on.
Can I jump on real quick just to say to Ms. Joyce's point about the bicycles and the sheriffs, and actually even a few weeks before I noticed the bicycles, we've been seeing more of the sheriffs, depending upon our hours of operation and their availability. They've been stopping by St. Monica's probably ever since the Harlem Globetrotters event, which was one of our goals, was to create a better, create community, form relationships, so that the next time, who knows when these sheriffs are going to, interact with our young people. But if there's a relationship already built, trust is already established, I think there'll be more cooperation and less things that happen, that we've seen happen, last summer and years before. So thank you for that push, Ms. Joyce. We greatly appreciate it here at St. Monica's, because I told them they got an open door. They don't have to call us. Let this just stop on by, and they come in, they play basketball, they get a drink of water because it's been hotter on those bikes, but they're interacting with the kids. And so we want to continue that.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. We had Principal Bailey jump on here, and I want to definitely welcome her. She is the rock star that's helping us, especially with our youth, our children. Super excited to be in partnership with her. And so, Principal Bailey, if you can just welcome yourself, and then if you can briefly just share with us how things are at Lincoln Heights and how clergy can help support the efforts that are happening at Lincoln Heights Elementary School.
I sure will, and please forgive me for being out of breath and a bit underdressed. I'm out walking. I had put 7 on my calendar, charge it to just the head of beginning of the school year, not the heart. I definitely appreciated Pastor Brandon's invite to be a part of a conversation. I'm a firm believer, and it has been proven thus far in my 7 years at Lincoln Heights, that it's going to take all of us, whatever we want to call it, village, tribe, whatever. It's going to take a lot of people to help us continue to grow our kids. And so, how you doing, sir? Our doors are always open, as Mike Pearl said, of course, with a little bit more structure. So if a church, if a group, if an individual wants to come and spend time, let's say, has a love of reading, has a love of math, how you doing? Has a love of math, and wants to spend 20 minutes a week, an hour a week, working with a child, open doors. All we ask is for a mask. And I would just ask, and I will put my I can figure out how to do it on my phone. My email in the chat. It does not have to be anything formal. We also open our doors to visitors to just come out, hang out with the kids at lunch. Our kids need everyday regular conversation with adults. One of my teams shared with me today, I do at the beginning of the year one-on-ones with our staff members, just to get a feel for how they're doing, what are their goals, what is anything that they're doing differently. And today, one of my teachers on my 4 or 5 team mentioned that they end the day every day, 5 minutes just conversation. And she found out there's a new Popeye sandwich she needs to try. She asked them, what'd you learn in the other classes? Kind of preps them to be able to talk about when you go home, what'd you do at school today? Because we all know what that answer is. Nothing. What was your favorite part? Recess. So she said she has learned so much more about her children just having those conversations. So I promote all the time. You got 15, 20 minutes, come hang out at lunchtime. Come talk to the kids. If hands-on isn't your thing, I get that. Kids are not for everybody. We are always open to pop-up surprise meals. Both Pastor Mike and Pastor Brandon, and I can't flip the thing because I might trip and fall, y'all, to see who else is on here, but we have been recipients of tremendous support and blessings from different churches in the community. Whether I reached out last year and said, hey, it's Teacher Appreciation Week, can everybody adopt a day? Our building doesn't have a PTO. We are forming a parent group, but our main goal for that group is to be a resource to the parents, more so than just to fundraise for the school to pass out money. But with that being said, I like to treat the teachers to just thank you. Thanks for coming back. Thanks for doing a good job. So periodically I do donuts on a Friday, spread out a table of orange treats and drinks and say, orange, you glad it's Friday? Corny, cute stuff. But if anybody's like, hey, we want to do something special for the staff, donuts on a Friday, donuts on a Wednesday, so we come back that Friday, those things are always open as well. Anytime that you want to know what's going on in the school, email's the fastest way to reach me. I can give you a blurb if it's to be shared out throughout the church community. We can do that. Our staff is excited to be a part of the parade this Saturday. That's one of our annual events that we always do and do it pretty big. We're excited about that. Something we're also doing this year to piggyback with the village's 75th anniversary. We're going to have a homecoming at Lincoln Heights. I'm not talking about a dance, but I'm talking about bringing people back to Lincoln Heights who graduated from Princeton or at least attended Lincoln Heights Elementary and what we say back in the day, but bringing back people because we want our kids to understand the rich history of the village. So that's something coming up. We have had, what are we on now? I don't know. We've had 2 full weeks and 2 additional days, whatever that math is, 12, 13 today. Amazing day. Our kids are compliant when it comes to masks. A lot of them don't bring masks. So if you've got some masks laying around and want to drop them off, you got some cute ones, you sew, or you got the little ones from the Dollar Tree. We probably give out about 50 a day, 50, 60 a day. And that's just coming in the door. Kids forget, they lose them, I don't know. But the blessing is they will wear them. We don't have any of the stuff you see on the news with the teachers like in Springboro getting cursed at by parents about the mask mandate. So we're doing our very best to keep everybody safe. We've got hand sanitizer galore. We've got water filling stations. But we can always use masks, like I said. But we've had 13 amazing days. The kids are excited to be back. We are strategically trying to find ways to fill the gaps because we all know they're behind. Even your best remote learner is behind. And we're also trying to diagnose or figure out who has had some mental health issues during COVID, post-COVID, and what do we do to fill those gaps? So I'm open, welcome anybody that wants to get involved in the building or from afar. And back to what Ms. Joyce said, prayer. I spoke heavily about that the one day a year when I'm allowed to talk about prayer in school. It was the mayor's prayer breakfast Saturday. So I took the opportunity to preach a little bit and to ask for prayer. Pray for us all. We've all got families. We've all considered our kids our family and our staff. And my staff is doing it, and they're doing it well. And I couldn't be more proud of them and the kids. So pray for us. Keep us abreast of what's going on in the community. Sometimes I hear things or see things when I'm listening to Reconciled Church via Facebook, as well as Pastor Mike's church. And we just want to be represented in the community so that our kids know that they are like I kind of think they're the glue. They're the glue from the top and the bottom of the village, and our building is kind of a safe haven. And so we just look forward to any opportunities that you guys have. I really don't have a wish list like I need this, 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 and this. I'm swimming in school supplies because we get so many donated. But we always have special projects. If someone's looking, in the fiscal year and I got this amount of money and I need to donate it to somebody, we can spend your money. We always have some special projects going on, whether it's STEM day or those kind of things. But keep us in your prayers and just know that my staff is working very, very hard, and we appreciate everybody's support.
Principal Bailey, thank you so much. That was perfect. I got a bunch of notes and a bunch of things that we can move with. Enjoy the rest of your run. I know that we got you there. But so
don't exaggerate. It's not a run. It's not a run.
Oh, you're okay. Your walk. Wait a
minute, let me see. Hold on.
Oh Lord.
Get it. Okay. Thank you. I'm gonna put my I'm gonna see if I can find the chat thing. I found it. Put my email in there if anybody needs it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Okay. You're welcome. Thank you. Bye, guys.
Pastor Mike, if you can, I know that there's so much at the center. And again, for those who have already gone, if you have to jump off, that's totally fine. I do want to be cognizant of your time. Pastor Mike, briefly, if you could share about St. Monica Center, and if there are things that we can know from a clergy perspective, that will be great as well.
Thank you, sir. It's really some of the same needs that Mrs. Bailey has. I couldn't agree more about what she said about our kids interacting in positive ways with positive adults who who are very interested in kids. Our kids, and our kids are resilient, they're strong, but they're kids. And what I've learned here at St. Monica's is that, our kids don't want to be lectured to. When they come to St. Monica's, they're really ready to play, rather than, sit down and do homework. Although we do have some kids that will do that, even if it's not a structured set up program for that. But in order to really better that, that opportunity and to get things really accomplished and really to have an impact, it starts with relationships. So if we can just continue to spread the word, and we do the best we can, but like the sheriff's coming up here every once in a while and hanging out with the kids, play a game of ping pong and then leave. That interaction right there will go so far for our young kids, and any interaction like that. So if we have people in the community that want to come and stop by, we will let them, wear a mask. We take temperature when you walk in, because they're not going to be, taking our kids off site, or everywhere's cameraed here. So they're not going to be alone with our kid. Honestly, we're pretty flexible that, we're just going to let you come on in. It's good to maybe give us a call first. Hey, today's a good day? Because there are days when we take field trips or something like that, or we have a big event going on. So any volunteers that want to just get involved and hang out with kids, get to know kids. And then from there, maybe, decide, hey, what if, I've been talking to these 3 kids and they're really interested in X, Y, and Z. Maybe build a program from that versus just coming in wanting to implement a specific program, although that can work too. So just continue to build relationships with adults who are positive and want to impact kids. That's really what we've been in need of for many, many years. People are busy. Our time is after school time from 4 to 8:30, and that makes it difficult for people, because a lot of people that would want to volunteer, they have to be home with their children themselves, or they're coaching and they're volunteer coaching somewhere else or something like that. But anything like that would be very helpful.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks, Pastor. I was about to say thanks, brother, I'm trying to keep it professional, you know.
Get out of here.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much for sharing that as well. Durance and Cord and Carlton, I know you all are there. If you could briefly share about the things that the Heights movement is able to do, and at the same time, specifically for clergy, this meeting is for clergy to engage in the community and to support the work that is happening. And so, if you'll be so kind to share, that will be awesome.
Yeah, we went down to the parking garage here, so I hope that you can. Yeah, I hope you can hear us fine. But
Absolutely.
yeah, we have 4 pillars that we work from, and we'll have Carlton in the back seat here, so we'll go through this pretty quickly. But from the economic empowerment pillar, which I kind of focus upon, right? What we really focus on is a program we call Resident Empowerment Program. All of our great both Pastor Pearl and from Principal Don Bailey, they both spoke about volunteers. But what we try to do is, when our volunteers come out, how can we provide them with some type of resources to empower them during their time, right? So and it works on a couple different mind frames on that, and why it's so important. We always think about it this way: if somebody was to give you $1 million right now, would you really know how to utilize that, or would it just kind of come to the wayside? So while you get these skill sets, while you're learning, whether if you're volunteering or whether you're coming out to learn a new skill set, if we also in that same mind frame can also, provide you a small stipend as well. That's what we call a resident empowerment program. So we're always looking for resources in that manner, and also in that same mindset of who can partner and work with us on that frame front. We have our public health, our beautification and social justice. We're also talking just to all our clergy. There's a outdoor open air gun range that's right outside of our community. And we're also asking folks to just support us in that move as we continue to move forward. But I'll allow Carlton hit on the other 2 pillars if you want to kind of come into the light, Carlton. Move forward. Yep.
Well, and I'll also say this in terms of the beautification. So, we dedicated a mural last year, Labor Day weekend. It was an 80-foot mural we dropped in Serenity Park. And this year we did this weekend. Dang, it's Monday. It doesn't feel like a Monday.
Saturday.
I've never been at Great American Ballpark on a Monday. But dedicating a mural outside of our community garden. So there's still going to be more murals going forward. And that's in conjunction with Artsworks and Arts Wave. But then again, with the gun range, I think just expounding on it just a little bit more, it's about removing the gun range, but most importantly, it's about repair, right? It's about how are we going to go about an intentional process of healing. And healing isn't just medicating our kids to death, you know what I mean, in order to change behaviors. I think there's a big part of it that's going to need like healing circles. We're going to need groups. We're going to need, voices within the clergy that are going to be working, speaking life, but also helping folks process some of the damage that has been caused. That's going to for sure be an intentional operation to figure out what does that healing look like when 5 generations have heard gunshots, right? But then in terms of education and workforce development, we were fortunate enough to be able to launch a My Brother's Keeper chapter in conjunction with the Obama Foundation. So we had the first one in the Cincinnati area. And so with that, focus on kids from age 4 all the way, and I guess adult kids up to 35, right? So there's some workforce programs that we're trying to kind of grow and expand in the process. And then there's also a lot we do just to provide additional academic support for Lincoln Heights Elementary, and then understanding like where are there opportunities for touch points specifically around STEAM, so science, technology, engineering, agricultural arts, and mathematics. So that's our primary goal. So creating new opportunities that center around that. And then public health and wellness, really the goal is an intentional focus around recreation of and programming of any shape and form, right? It's been outside of St. Monica's, which thank God for them.
Yeah.
But before St. Monica's was able to expand and have more kids and all of that piece, you know, the Y shut down in 01, 02, somewhere in that range when it stopped being operational. And there was literally no indoor space for kids over a certain age. And so that's something that we're still trying to figure out. What does that look like? And how do we support recreation and different things like that? So if there's any ideas and that you guys have on your end and things that work in other churches and models or whatever, that's always on the table in terms of opportunities for us to then just go implement what does that look like for the future.
Yeah, thank you. And this last, once again, to sum it all up, what we're trying to do is just ask our residents, not what jobs do they want, but what dreams and what problems do you see, and how can we empower you to either achieve those dreams or solve those problems? And if you can provide time, talent, and treasure to help us on that end, that's probably the easiest way that we're looking for assistance. But we thank you guys on that. Anything you forward, once again. Yeah, we're going to get back upstairs to our kiddos, but we're still listening.
Yeah, no, thank you so much, guys. I do appreciate you guys doing that and taking the time to come down and be a part of this. Super thankful for the ways and just hearing some of the work. And as you can tell, Jordan and Miss Lisa, you could tell that there's been some blending of things that are happening. And so just an opportunity for everyone and the clergy who will listen to this later and to see this, to just see all of the great work that's happening in the community. Thank you all for sharing. Thank you, all of the community partners that are doing some amazing work. Man, just kudos to you all. It's been a joy being able to serve alongside you all, support, and it's our hope and our aim that as clergy begin to join this collaborative and they're able to hear about all the work, that there will be an opportunity and a day where we will have more volunteers and more servants than there is work to be done because of just the influx of support around everything that you all have mentioned. And so I'm thankful for that. As we kind of shift gears here and kind of head towards home, multiple times throughout this endeavor, we heard about some kind of trauma, some kind of healing, some kind of care, and it's perfect that for clergy who will be watching this and listening to this, that there's an opportunity for us to be able to receive some supports that can help us in this endeavor. And so I'm thankful to have Jordan King and Miss Lisa Ince on with World Impact. I want to turn it over to you, Jordan and Miss Lisa, to be able to share with our clergy some of the things that World Impact does, but at the same time, some offerings that could potentially help us, as you've heard from our community partners, in a way that can help our clergy. So let me make sure that I unpin myself so everyone can see you all. Thank you.
Jordan, do you want me to just jump in? I have a hard stop a little bit before 6, and then Jordan can keep on and with some really practical things for your area there. But basically, the trauma healing program, we're partnering with American Bible Society, and the whole trauma healing began in Africa with war-torn countries, and they developed it with pastors there. So it's a biblically based program and with mental health practices. And so we train people to lead healing groups. And you don't have to have a degree in counseling, because we don't want you to be counselors. We want you to be facilitators, facilitate the group discussions as we lead you through. And there's Bible study part of it, just bringing in where is God in the midst of this and processing through that. So it's a program that's a participatory based. That's where the healing takes place, is that when we engage with each other and engage with the Word of God, and then the mental health practices that just gently move you along, it works. And so right now we have the healing groups are like six basic lessons that we go through. And I want the pastors who are listening to this to know that this is something that we could train some of the people in your churches to do. You have enough on your plate. We're not asking you to be trained in this because it's just too much. But you probably have a couple of people already in your congregations or in your ministry that may be sleepers, but have that capacity. They know when people are hurting. They're just kind of wired that way. And so we can come along and train them and then they can be set free in your context to do it. I'm a master facilitator. Jordan is a training facilitator, but we could bring people all the way up to become master facilitators, so you could actually make it something that is just works for your environment in your context. If I could just share the screen real quick,
Yes.
Brandon, I would just show our basic. It's kind of where.
Yes.
Okay.
1 second. Let me make sure.
Yeah, I think you got it. I think I can do it.
Okay.
Nope, not
Okay.
yet. Nope.
Let's see.
If you go to like the little, if there's a little shield, a lot of times you click on that, it'll say share.
Yeah.
But
think
I can
you
just
should be
talk
able
it through.
to now. You should be able to now.
Oh, I sure can. Okay.
Okay.
So can you all see that?
Yes.
Okay, so this is the trauma healing experience arc, and the book and the lessons follow this pattern. So we know we have a place of suffering. Something has happened. Sometimes in our church experience, or just trying to be well-meaning, we want to rush people through this process. We want to take them straight over to forgiving, because we know that that's going to be part of the healing process, is when we can forgive others. But there's this whole side over here that we have to allow people to walk through, so they really get to the point where they can forgive and then rebuild and have resilience. So the point of suffering, then being heard, grieving. We actually lead people through lament, and a lot of people, that's part of their context. But in a lot of contexts, you know, my church background, we didn't do a lot of lamenting, so that we've had to learn that. But that's not always the same. But we take people through that, and then finally they can bring their pain to the cross, to Christ, and with that, then they're able to forgive and rebuild and have resilience. And so this is kind of the thing that we follow, that arc. Yeah, so I'll kick it over to you, Jordan, for even making it more practical for how we can come along and partner with somebody.
Yeah, you know, I've been doing the training for a little while. I have a background in family counseling and social work. And so when we first got familiar with this program, I was a little suspicious of it at first, actually, because of my counseling background. I was a little leery of it. But then I got to participate in it, be involved with it, and just found it was a really practical, simple resource that really met people where they were. And took something that, you know, trauma is a hard thing to deal with. There's a lot of pain, there's a lot of hurt that comes with it, and really boiled it down to some simple things and help people understand what it is and how it affects them and how it affects their community. So it's really effective at doing that. And so I've been working with Lisa for a while on this. I run groups all across my area. So we can run the groups like this, train facilitators online. We can do that over a 6 to 8 week portion. Usually I think it's around 6 weeks is what we normally do, maybe 7 at the most. And then we can also do 2-day intensive trainings where we do, you know, we take a Friday or Saturday or whatever we need to do, and we'll do a long and intensive time together where we'll get everybody up to speed, train them on what trauma looks like, and how to help people walk through that in a way that honors God and helps them heal in a real way. So that's what I love doing. Go ahead, Michael.
First of all, I'm about to cry, just because I just put a message on Instagram for Pastor Brandon, because this is that chart you showed just blew my mind. Not even for kids, but for adults, you know. But we have so many kids who, when they misbehave, even here at St. Monica's, you know, and of course we have to discipline according to the misbehavior, but a lot of times if we dig a little bit deeper, and especially if it's a consistent thing that happens, we know that that's trauma, you know. And so my question is, what are the ages, and how much is it? Sign me up. I'm about to put my credit card out right now, Pastor Brandon.
I can talk about the ages. There are the Trauma Healing Institute does have a specific thing toward children and toward teens. We have a couple of staff that have just they're being trained, or they went through their first part of the training for teens. But a lot of this stuff too can be walking your staff through it. And if the staff are informed, it just permeates you. There's some little things that you can carry with you that just inform how you do things. It doesn't change the bottom line, but it just changes a little bit of the approach. And so, no, it's so exciting. And I wish I could stay on and just talk so much more about this, but the cost is really economical. So I'll let Jordan do, but thank you so much, Brandon, for setting this up and for inviting us. And
Thank
I'll
you for coming,
kick it to Jordan, and I
you'll
hope
hear
to
from us
see-
again. You'll be
I
hearing from
hope
us.
so.
for sure.
I hope so. God bless
Thanks,
you
Lisa.
all.
Appreciate it.
And one of the
just-
things, I know, Jordan, right before you jump on, one of the things that I wanted to make sure that I shared, especially with Pastor Mike, one of the things that I, as you and I have been talking a lot and just hearing about just this need for something like this. Man, I've written it in my church's budget that if we can take, the staff, like if we have to take your staff and other, like whoever we can to make this a reality, like our church will help, like make this a priority because it is needed, like you said. And so just as a way to say, man, I'm thankful for the collaborative and all of the pastors in the churches that represent in Lincoln Heights, and knowing that this is such a need. As Jordan begins to share with us some of the practicalities of it, maybe it just starts with just you and I and trying to reach out to some of the other pastors and organizations, even if it's just getting staff and getting people on board, just to be able to walk out and be able to do this in these spaces where we probably don't have reach, I think would be awesome. So just wanted to make sure you put that bug in your ear.
Appreciate it.
For sure, because I mean, I really am that I'm that sold for something like this to, be available for people in our community. But Jordan, sorry. Yeah, go ahead and you can share.
You're good, Brandon. I appreciate that. Yeah, one of the goals of our organization is to provide high-level resources at an affordable price for the people that we serve, because we serve under-resourced communities and we serve pastors and leaders serving in those spaces. So what we do is we charge $20 a person to go through the class, and that if there's one extra cost to that, so there's a booklet that goes with the class. It's $3.99. You can buy that online. So really, really cheap. And so that's what it takes to go through it. And we continue to work with people who go through the training. If they need help facilitating courses, they need us to come alongside initially. If they don't feel confident doing it, I still work with some of the people I've served with to run some of these programs across my region. I'm trying to think here. I know there was another question I'm supposed to get. Michael, what was the other piece you were asking?
How much is it and what are the ages?
Yeah, so Lisa shared a little bit. So typically what we do is we start with the adult track. There's like 6 core lessons that go with the adult track, and then after people go through that, it's more general. There's more specific tracks that hit into elementary ages and then into high school as well. And we offer continuing training that can hit into those areas. We have staff that are trained in those specific areas, and then we also have other lessons that come alongside that we do kind of like one night, every month. There's someone on domestic abuse, sexual trauma, different things that people can experience in their life. And so more specific training on specific traumas and how that can affect a person and their life, and how the church can walk alongside people. So to actually get a trauma healing group going, what we say, if we're doing it online, 15 people is a max, because you can't fit, you can only fit so many people on a screen. So we like to be able to see everybody, have good interaction with everybody. So
And that's for the training?
Yeah, that's online. So if we do a training, a maximum online would be 15. If we do it in person, we could probably do 20. But you want to keep that smaller group environment, because it really is a dialogue. So it's a back and forth between us and the participants. So it's not just me up there just talking, for hours at a time. It's really it's about your stories and then us interacting with that together.
That's good. Okay. All right. Well, I'll be in touch to learn more for sure.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Yep.
We usually do a couple trainings a year, and I try to make it pretty broad. That's something that my staff can use, obviously here at St. Monica's, but hopefully outside of St. Monica's at the very capacities they serve there too. But yeah, we definitely need that part of. I think I had a kid tell me, it's been maybe last year, we had a conversation about police and whatever else, and the kid said they hate the police because the police tore down their door in the middle of the night and snatched I'm using, they didn't use these words, but basically, arrested their dad, and it was a ugly situation. And so, she said that has stuck with her, and that's why she hates police. Now, between us, dad probably was up to something, you know what I mean?
Sure.
That warranted the police doing that, but unfortunately that trauma, it goes a long way,
Yeah. Doesn't make it any less real.
That's right. That's
Yep.
right. So when kids hate the police, it's not just because they hate the police, there's something underneath there a lot of times that could be the trauma. So, and that's just one example. But
I used to serve in St. Louis in North City, and it was a pretty rough neighborhood. One time was one of the most violent in the U.S. zip code that I lived in was, and the police in the neighborhood had a really horrible dynamic, and it was police hated the neighborhood, and the neighborhood hated the police, and you'd have stuff going on all the time. The police wouldn't come out, wouldn't serve, and so when you can get good healing in a neighborhood between the police and the community, that's always something that you always want to go for if you can.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, it is 7:04. I want to be cognizant and conscientious of your time. Again, thank you everybody who was able to share. One, I hope that for the clergy who will watch this, and even for Pastor Pearl and myself, this to be beneficial for us to hear what's going on in the community in just one space, right? But then at the same time, to know that there are a lot of things that are happening that are great, and there are ways that the church can support these initiatives. And so from this point, what I'll do, we will have, this has been recorded. And so I'll make sure that this goes out to all of the pastors who couldn't make it tonight. But then I'll also share it with some of our other pastors who may be around the Lincoln Heights community that this could serve as a benefit to as well. And then what we'll do is I'll make sure that we have transcribed notes and things that would be tangible next steps for us. Jordan, I'm sure I already know that you're going to get contact for sure about this trauma training for sure. We really want to try to make this a reality in a lot of spaces. And so you'll hear more from us for sure. And then Pearl, on another conversation, you and I will talk to Jordan, because there's a lot of other things that World Impact does for churches in communities like ours. So Principal Bailey, thank you again for being on. Jordan, thank you for your time. And Pastor Pearl, thanks for sharing with everybody. My hope and prayer is that this was beneficial. And I look forward to continuing the work in the beautiful village of Lincoln Heights. And we're thankful for all that you all do. You all have
love you, bro. Appreciate you, bro.
Thank you all.
Yep. Thank you. Have a great night.
Bye, guys.
Have a good one.